look at it, several times we have thought about that. We've often asked ourselves, why do we bother? Why do we put up with this sort of abuse from small minority people? And then I suppose we think, well, look, there's more than 90% of people are good people and they want to get out and walk. And there's plenty of room out there for everybody on the hills. If everybody would show a bit of respect, it all comes down to, at the end of the day, it all comes down to respect.
Dog attacks on sheep can cause massive distress, injury and even death to the animals. But it also has a huge impact, both financial and emotional, on the farmers. I've come here to the Glenmalure Valley in County Wicklow, where a number of attacks on different flocks have caused real upset. The Dowling family have farmed sheep here for over 30 years. Their flock are kept on land at the foot of the mountains. Last August, Maureen Dowling spotted something amiss with one of her lambs.
So I was driving down the lane and it was around here that I stopped and I could see our pet lamb and he was just sitting in the middle of the lane, and next minute I realised underneath its neck it was full of blood. And it was bleeding a lot and it was crying, and so straight it was still alive, but it was very bad. Its hindquarters was almost gone. And next minute word came in from the lads and they said there's dogs out on the farm.
Maureen's brothers, Michael and Daniel, quickly became aware of the extent of the attack.
Some of the lambs were caught up on the fences, hung on the fences. There was 2 or 3 we found just drowned in the river. They had no marks at all. But then the ones that the dogs actually got were brutally tore apart, savaged.
There was 14 lambs and 3 ewes on the day.
Dead.
And then there was 4 more that we ended up having to shoot afterwards at home.
The dogs that carried out the attack, a German Shepherd and a Rottweiler, were still in the fields. As farmers are legally entitled to shoot dogs endangering their livestock, Michael shot both dead. It's not an easy thing to do, is it?
No, it's definitely not an easy thing to do. They're pests, they're animals, so yeah, you do hesitate. But just, I suppose, the anger, the adrenaline.
The adrenaline, more than anything else, I think, kicks in.
I was infuriated.
As the dogs were microchipped, it was possible to identify the owner, who agreed to pay compensation of over €3,000, the market value of the animals.
The value of the sheep was one thing, but we reared those sheep from birth, you know, and we saw them every day. We fed them, we dosed them, we injected them, we looked after them. And then to have that wiped out, the money is one thing, but we have a bond to that with those ewes, those lambs as well. So we'll have those pictures of our lambs lying on the fences, in the rivers, being brutally savaged. Like, that won't go away. We have those images in our heads, like they're locked in there.
In 2020, 241 dog attacks on livestock were reported, but not all attacks are witnessed. Further down the valley, 2 neighbours, Pat Dunn and Peter Byrne, farm Commonage, land with shared ownership, on Lugnaquilla Mountain. Hey Pat, how are you?
Helen, how are you? How are you doing?
What an amazing spot.
Thank
here.
you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
And this is your home here.
That's right.
And Peter, you're farming, so where's your farm?
The farmyard and the welling house is just on the other side of the river, right beside Pat, but the main block of land and the commonage is at the very head of the valley.
Okay, and I'd imagine because it's such a beautiful spot, a lot of walkers.
Yes, it would be. Glenmalure here is a haven for walkers. Like up the zigzag that's behind us was always the original way to go to Lugnaquilla.
Both Pat and Peter have placed signs at access points to their land which ban dogs outright. Why did you feel the need to put the signs up, Pat?
We had to put it here because people were just ignoring. You can see there's a sign there. People were ignoring it. There's a sign over at the road as well, and people were ignoring that.
People say about keeping the dog on a lead, but this means there are just no dogs let up here at all.
No, because what was happening was we were letting people going through if they had the dog on the lead. But we would see them, before they get out the top, we would see the dog running around. It would be off the lead.
Unlike farmers in the valley floor, for farmers using the mountain commonage, it's more difficult to keep watch over their flock.
We would lose sheep every year.
Every year?
Every year, without exception. We would find them dead up there. They would have been chased into bog pools and they wouldn't be able to get out, and they'd end up dying with the hunger in it.
Last summer we put the dry sheep up sometime the end of April. We put them up for Saturday lunchtime, and again Sunday evening we had reports of 2 of them drowned in a hole, and then on further investigation we took 6 more out of holes in the surrounding area. It's not a nice sight to come on.
If you do have to ask people to either take their dog home or put a lead on their dog, would they comply?
Some people come to see the sign, they'll read it and they go off. And some people, I would meet them and I explain to them and they would understand. While on the other hand, we would get people who would give us out mouthfuls of abuse and tell us to go where they like, and it was public land and public property and they would do what they like on it.
Under Irish law, owners must keep their dogs under what is termed effectual control. In Glenmalure Valley, the National Parks and Wildlife Service operates a dogs on lead policy, while the State Forestry Agency, Coillte, requires dogs to be kept on leads or under effectual control, which means that dogs must remain close to their owners and return immediately on command. But farmers here have banned dogs from coming onto their property altogether, meaning there are different rules on adjoining lands. Helen Lawless is Access and Conservation Officer with Mountaineering Ireland. Can you understand why farmers are so concerned about dogs?
Yes, I can. I have seen people with dogs off lead on the hill and not keeping their dogs under control. Just last month, I saw a couple with a black dog. The dog was running wild, at times out of sight of the owners. I saw that dog chase sheep.
Do you think maybe that there are walkers who don't realise that they're on farmland?
Yes, I think you're right. I think a lot of people assume because they're in an unfenced open mountain landscape that perhaps it belongs to the state. All land in Ireland is owned either by individuals or as commonage, where a number of shareholders have an interest. I think it is possible that people are confused as they move through a walk from one land holding to another, but ultimately it is about keeping your dog under close control, and where there is signage asking people not to take dogs, to respect that.
Agreed mountain access routes for hikers to cross private farmland are rare in Ireland. The continued attacks on the sheep in Glenmalure could put those celebrated routes at risk. You've agreed to allow this access route. Have you ever considered pulling out of that agreement?
Look at it, several times we have thought about that. We've often asked ourselves, why do we bother? Why do we put up with this sort of abuse from small minority people? And then I suppose we think, well, look, there's more than 90% of people are good people and want to get out and walk. And there's plenty of room out there for everybody on the hills. If everybody would show a bit of respect, it all comes down to, at the end of the day, it all comes down to respect.